Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back in. It's time once again for another episode of Coffee, a Camera, and Country Earl. And glad to be joined this evening by our good friend, the State Representative of the 90th District, Mr. Derek Lewis. Derek, thanks for dropping in and sharing some time with us this evening. I know it's a busy time right now.
Absolutely, Earl, and I believe we got enough space between us, so I'll take this thing off. I know everybody's been smothering down in these right now. I've got my nice Campaign Lewis for Kentucky mask there. You can get on Facebook. I think there might be a form or something you fill out to get one of those. But yeah, man, it's certainly a trying time with COVID, and we face lots of issues. Everything from school going back in right now. My wife, she's trying to get the students over at South Laurel High School ready. I've talked to Superintendent William Sexton here and a lot of the school board members, and I know they have their own set of challenges, and then over in Leslie County as well. But across the state, we're all trying to find out, and get through this thing and find out what works, what doesn't work, and ultimately make sure that our students are safe, our staff's safe, but also making sure that these kids, get a quality education.
I think that's the thing. COVID-19 hits us, and we all train our minds on what we would do in particular situations, but it's a major difference once it happens. And I see that happen with COVID-19. There's all kinds of things that we learn, and it basically was the unknown before it hit. Now, reports from the CDC are that November 1st, there's going to be a vaccine that's going to start rolling in, and I guess some of the frontline workers will get it first and whatnot. But still, again, do we know enough about a vaccine at this point in the ball game? I mean, people are still going to be skeptical about that, but it's amazing how America has just transitioned from last March. And even in Frankfurt, what you've had to go through, your other representatives and the Senate and everyone, I mean, it's amazing.
Oh, absolutely, absolutely. And myself being in healthcare, I'm in a couple of pharmacies, and we are the frontline workers. We're there to take care of our patients, and if we shut down, at the end of the day, whether it's COVID or not, you're still going to have the same number of diabetics, same number of patients with COPD, and we have to be there. And you practice a lot of these CDC guidelines already in a healthcare setting, but now so more than ever, it's important to do that. There are challenges in Frankfurt. During the interim, the majority of our meetings that we've had have been around COVID. And so whether that's dealing with COVID and mining permits, I sit on natural resources, or I sit on judiciary and dealing with how the courts are processing their caseloads with this. Every industry in Kentucky, every aspect in Kentucky is being impacted by this some way. And we will get through this together, and there's different thoughts as far as how do we deal with this. I mean, Clay County is not Jefferson County. Jefferson County isn't Fayette County. I mean, we all have our own different sets of challenges that come into play and how we deal with things, and I would like to see more of an approach that looks on the individual area and region. For instance, on schools. That's a school board issue. That is a local issue.
Yeah,
if it's something that deals with the city, I think that's an issue for the city council, county, your magistrates. I mean, I don't know that, and we'll get into this a little later, I'm sure, when we talk about next session, but there has to be, on the local level, managing COVID. I mean, we have to come up with my thought today, on the local level, and you got me nervous, Earl, and with ways that we can combat this and find out what works truly for us. One of my biggest concerns is, we have to pass the second year of a budget, and so we've shut a lot of our state down. And while all this is going on, and I know we've talked privately on unemployment issues that people are facing right now, but there's a lot of the states right now, a lot of people in the state that's not working. There's a lot of businesses that have closed their doors, some permanently. And so when we go into the budget and we're dealing with a lower tax base, that is an issue. Because, we have about $11 billion budget. And so what do you do to, right now I think the report's coming out is we're looking at anywhere between a $500 million shortfall and beyond. The truth is we don't know until those numbers come out. So do we hope that the feds, inject the state with capital?
Right.
That's the hope, but there's so much gridlock going on right now up there. Do we count on that? If you're not doing that, I mean, are you raising taxes on citizens, people that are already struggling to get by? I don't believe you do that. You raise taxes on businesses that are already almost having to shutter their doors. You don't do that. The state's the state's credit rating is low enough, and then the pension crisis as well affects our ability to issue bonds. That'd be something that we'd be digging out for the next 20 years. So the next option you're looking at is cutting services. And if you're cutting services and cutting projects in the state, what are you doing? Are you cutting road projects? Are you cutting Medicaid? I mean, these are real issues that we're going to have to face. And so right now, yes, we are dealing with COVID, but we have not even begun to deal with the economic effects. And that's the cold, honest truth.
We see the unemployment issues you mentioned, and I know that more people have been hired down in Frankfurt to deal with unemployment calls, and there was a glitch in the software system in the beginning stages. And
sure.
A lot of folks have been out of work, as you mentioned, and you personally have dealt with a lot of them. I know that you've talked to several people that have had issues, and you've been able to connect them. And I don't know, thank God that I've not been unemployed, but it could happen again. It could happen to me, like it's happened to so many other people. But getting the help they need. But then after the unemployment runs out, like you were mentioning, we've had business to close.
Right.
They're not coming back. Where does it put them? I know there's a lot of ideas on tourism and what capital that's going to bring to Eastern Kentucky, and then there's the app harvest thing that's going on with the greenhouse projects all across Eastern Kentucky, and I'm sure that's a lot of it, but that's another hard decision.
Sure.
And, where's it going to come from? I mean, we've, in particular here in the mountains, and
right.
We've lost coal just about it, tobacco just about it, and, that was two of the big issues that kept a lot of us working and employed. And I know coal is starting to move a little bit more, but, it's going to be a hard decision to come up with something.
Oh, absolutely. So I was elected and took office in January of 2019. And so from then till now, I've learned so much about unemployment. It all started with, the black jewel miners. And these are miners, I employ two people at my pharmacy whose husbands both work for Black Jewel, and they were laid off. I mean, these are people I know directly. And so it started with that and really understanding the unemployment process. And, last year, the economy was booming. We were doing great. Unemployment levels were lower than they'd ever been. And we were caught flat-footed, and that's the honest truth with an antiquated system. And that needs to be updated, that needs to be changed. All of a sudden, instead of getting a few calls a day, these people were getting anywhere from 80,000 to 200,000 calls a day and trying to, man the phones and help people. And so, around March to May, I was really able to help people. I was able to actually just straight up call unemployment myself. Hey, this is State Representative Derek Lewis. I've got a constituent that needs help. And I would do all I could to get that person's claim resolved. Now we're having to jump through hoops, and so we're having to reach out to constituent services, who's having to reach out to the constituent, who's then having to talk to a legislative liaison. I mean, it's classic government. It's ridiculous. And so is it speeding up the process? Yes, it is. We've hired a firm, Ernst & Young, to help process claims as well, and we are making a dent, but again, not at this pace that we need to make. I'm a person, when I ran, I said, hey, I'm going to be that state rep that you can call. And so I put my number out there. And I'll say this on video right now. If you need help, call me. My number is 606-594-0061. That's a local number. But I did that. And so I take these calls. And so the people I talk to, I'm talking to the single moms who are struggling to, keep a roof on the heads of their children. I'm talking to the guy that's about to lose his home, who can't afford his electric bill. A guy that's worked hard all his life, and now he does not have a source of income. I'm talking to people who have pawned off everything they own. I'm getting a call right now. We lost. But no, I'm talking to people who are at their wits' end, and they have done everything that they should have to do to get help. This is money that they have earned, and that's not acceptable. Now in Frankfurt, of course, I mean, you hope that there's no politics, but the reality is that there is. We've offered our assistance to the governor. We offered 100 staff members back in March. He turned us down. We offered to come in during special session. And, you know, hey, we'll work. There's things we can't agree on, but there's a lot that we can agree on. He won't have it. Even the Democrats in the House and the Senate, he's not talking to them either. And so that's an issue. And so when we go back up in session on January 5th, not only are we dealing with COVID, not only are we dealing with unemployment, not only are we dealing with a budget and have 30 days to do all this in, but also changes to Section 39A of the Constitution. Section 39A is where the governor gets his executive powers. It was established in 1998 for states of emergencies for mayors, judge executives, and the governor. And so when you think of a state of emergency, you think of maybe that tornado that touched down in West Liberty, or you think flooding over in Barton. You don't think of a long-lasting pandemic. And so I still believe that the governor should have those powers, but there has to be checks and balances, and people have to have a voice. I'm getting these calls, and me, my colleagues, we're hearing from our constituents, and then we're relaying those to the governor, and it's falling on deaf ears, and that is not acceptable.
So that comes up on January 5th, which brings us to this point. Your term is a 2-year term.
Correct.
So basically, you campaign a year, and then you work a year basically in there. And I know some people may think it's just a part-time job. You get the extra money, you get the extra perks and benefits. Well, it's not that way.
No.
If you logged every moment or every mile, you probably would be in the hole about $50,000 or $60,000 a year easily.
Easy, no. I got involved in this again. I've just been in office about a year and 9 months, I guess. But I've always been active in the community. I was over the Chamber of Commerce in Leslie County several years. I'm still serve on EKSEP's board, bringing jobs into the region. Appalachian Regional Healthcare, their board, as far as affecting change in healthcare in the region. Housing Development Alliance over in Perry County, which serves several counties, on finding homes for people, and things that I'm really passionate about. And this position, I really see it as a platform to make a change, and we've done a lot of great things, and I'm proud of. Year and 9 months doesn't seem that long, but hey, we brought millions of dollars into the 90th district, a district that was typically neglected, and that doesn't happen easily, and especially for a newcomer. I mean, it takes you working it.
Right.
And so whether that's, me and the judge executive getting in a car, or my truck actually, and driving up to see Governor Bevan when he's up there and saying, hey, our people need their roads fixed.
Right.
We came back with over $800,000. And the transmission of my truck went out when I got to the Manchester exit.
But you can see that. As you mentioned, you can see these things.
Yeah.
Even not only with the county road systems, city street systems, you can see it on the state road systems. A lot of roads in our districts are being repaved or being repaired.
A lot of work being done.
A lot of work. And I would suggest anyone watching this that if you need a job, the construction business and the road business right now is a good business to get into. They're hiring just about every time you talk to somebody. They're like, hey, we need help, because there's so much going on.
Oh, absolutely.
You can look and see that. You can see water lines. You can see the Kentucky Wire project still going on. The main mile an hour actually into the offshoots of it. Local cable companies have joined in and took a part in that, and getting high-speed internet, which basically is something you gotta have.
Yeah.
If you don't have the dark cable, as it's slang called, or the fiber optic, you're not going to get the speed you need to really work from home.
Oh,
and there's several jobs you can do from home, making pretty good money at.
Oh, definitely. It's so long, Eastern Kentucky, we've been isolated. And that's a blessing, it's a curse,
Yeah.
We've had the mountains and beautiful mountains, and I think, you will not find a better group of people, classic people, and you're right here in Eastern Kentucky, you're gonna find a harder worker.
I agree.
But because of that, we've also, suffered as far as lack of opportunities. And whether it's through infrastructure projects on our roads, and one key thing in mind is expanding, the parkway to where we can bring more industry. I mean, Kentucky's perfectly positioned, and some of the policies that we've passed in the legislature, pro-business policies that make Kentucky the place to do business, and then federal funds and grants to back it up.
Right.
That's what we need. We need trucks going down this highway here. But jumping back to internet, I was talking to a constituent earlier this week in Clay County. Won't say her name. Again, guys, the phone calls don't. I apologize.
That's 6 calls we've had in a span of 10 minutes.
Yeah.
So.
But I was talking to a constituent, and she's a nurse, and she works from home, and internet is a major concern for her.
Right.
There's people in Leslie County on Teleworks Hub, which is an offshoot of EK Secretary System. People working from home, but they have to have the internet connectivity. So whether that's with PRTC, whether that's with House Cable, whether that's with Thacker Grigsby, with TDS, with Spectrum, with Windstream, whoever it is, we got to be up to snuff, and we got to make sure our people can work from home.
Right.
And nothing underscores that more than right now. And we're sitting and trying to do school from Chromebooks, and
Absolutely.
And I'm having calls again. Hey, I don't have internet connection. I can't do this. And credit to Clay, especially Superintendent William Sexton, and several of the principals I've talked to. They've gotten on the ball, and they've reached out to these parents. And so shout out to the school system and all the hard work that they are doing. But what do we do? How do we get internet speeds up to where they need to be? So last year, of course, we have Kentucky Wired, and we're making progress on that.
Yes.
But last year, we passed a piece of legislation. I believe it was House Bill, don't quote me, either 353 or 335. There's lots of House bills.
Oh, I know.
But anyway, what it does, it's modeled after Tennessee's legislation to where, and they've had great success, absolutely fantastic success with this, to where the state creates a fund within the general fund that grants out money to internet service providers, but there's a strings attached. There's performance metrics. You have to hit such and such speeds. We need this done in X amount of time, and X amount of material, quality of material needs to be used. And so they're able to pinpoint exactly where needs connectivity.
Right.
And again, this goes back to Jefferson County and Fayette County. They have challenges that are different than those in Leslie and Clay and Laurel County. I mean, internet connectivity is a big one. Another issue that's been brought to my attention, and this is very early in the process, but a constituent of mine over in Leslie County, Elbert Eastep, reached out to me. He's with the school system over there, and brought to my attention something that North Carolina was doing with what is it, Starlink, I think. It's one of what's his name, Tesla. Yeah. I'm blanking on that.
I have to, but
anyway, there's a company right now that is focusing on satellite internet, and when you think satellite internet, you think, oh, it's too slow. That's not the case.
No,
Elon Musk. There we go.
Elon
Again,
Musk.
blanking, guys, tonight. But being able to tap into that, and so North Carolina is actually using federal funds that they're getting from the CARES Act in order to reinvest in this, to where their areas will be able to hook up to high-speed internet, like that. And this is something that's going nationwide. And I was unfamiliar with this.
Yeah.
And a constituent brought it to my attention. And I'll just say, if you ever, and I'll call these people back, but I promise, if you ever have an idea, bring it to me. I mean, I consider myself skilled. My background's in accounting. My background is in communications. My background's in business and healthcare, pharmacy. But when legislation comes up that I have a question about, I'm reaching out to the experts.
Right.
If I have a law enforcement question, I'm calling Patrick Robinson. I'm calling John Root, Billy Michael Collin. If I have a question on a legal issue, I'm calling my friends that are attorneys. If it's a prescribing issue, I'm calling my friends that are doctors. If it's everything down to whether it's the trades, maybe it's a plumbing issue that's affecting licensing. I mean, yeah, we deal with sexy topics like licensing in Frankfurt, but I'm calling those guys and saying, hey, how will this legislation affect you? And especially now more so than ever, I'm teaching, and changes in the standards. I'll just tell you all, my wife, you all have the best lobbyist at home, because she keeps me in line, informs and tells me how I need to vote. So I think Jimmy DeZarn one time told me, happy wife, happy life. And so I've listened, and I've done well, or so I'm told. But go ahead.
That's another thing. Kind of the elephant in the room when you walk into Frankfurt, and it's been the elephant in the room for quite some time, is the pension plan.
Sure.
Where is it at? I know there's a lot of ideas on how we're going to fix it. We've heard a bunch of different ideas, but at this point in time, where do you foresee the pension? Personally, I think folks that are already retired are going to be fine. I think some of the newer people that have been hired the past couple of years, I know the pension's set up a little bit different now than prior to what it was. So where do you see that now?
So we have what's called an inviolable contract. And so the people that are currently working, these are the benefits that were promised to them, and these are the benefits that they should receive. The question is funding. Now, let's say that the pension fund went broke tomorrow. The state is still obligated to honor that debt. And so essentially at that point, you're paying pension funds out of the general fund, which is what you see out of some of the other systems. So there's 8 pension systems in Kentucky. Several have been in the spotlight here lately, but let's focus on TRS, the Teacher Retirement System. So it needs to be funded. Is this going to happen overnight? No, absolutely. We didn't get into this mess overnight.
Right.
We got into this mess with years and years of underfunded pension obligations, and instead of putting that money where it needed to be in the pension, it's really going towards our retirees, choosing pet projects, and that's not how things should be done in Frankfurt. So since I've been up there, I've been happy to say that we have fully funded the pensions, and always will as far as I'm concerned. But a couple things that spin off from that is due to the credit rating, which we talked about earlier, and the shape of the pension system and the level at which it's funded. You are restricted as far as what investments you can have. And so when you have that occur, due to President Trump's policies, the stock market's booming right now.
Right.
Our pension systems haven't had as much growth, though, because they're having to put most of their investment into more conservative investments. And so you're not getting the same type of gains that you typically would. We're not going to get out of it overnight, but we have to keep funding it. And,
right.
That's more important, and that is an obligation. When I first ran for office in 2018, that's a promise that I made to my constituents, and that's one I've kept.
All right, we got a couple of moments remaining.
Sure.
Tell the folks out there why they should keep the incumbent in Frankfurt.
Absolutely. This is one, again, every call that calls me, I answer and call them back. I'm the person that is at your city council meetings. I'm the person that's at your ball games, your son or your daughter. A lot of times I've probably helped sponsor that team. I believe youth sports are an amazing thing. In terms of legislation that I've passed and while I was up there, we put in God We Trust back in schools. We have passed some of the most prominent pro-life legislation in the nation. We have passed the strongest gun rights protections in the nation. We have worked on criminal justice reform. We have brought millions back into this district that has always been neglected, and we're getting those funds now. And these are projects that are real, they are happening. And overall, I'm here for you. I'm here for the constituent. I'm a father of a beautiful 3-year-old daughter. I'm a husband to a beautiful wife who's a teacher and keeps me in line. But more so than anything else, I'm a concerned citizen, and I'm just like you. I answer my phone. I try to help people any way I can. I'm from Eastern Kentucky. I believe in Eastern Kentucky. And Lord willing, and with your support, I will continue to be in office. I don't plan to make a career out of this. This is something, as long as I'm being effective, I want to be up there. But ultimately, I believe the person should go back home when their time has come, and I believe in term limits for those reasons. But right now, I feel like we're making great progress. Again, I've been in office for 1 year and 9 months, and we've done some amazing things. I just want the opportunity to continue to do more. Thank you.
Ladies and gentlemen, that's this week's show, and we'll see you next week.